Hello and good morning and welcome to the Virtual Racers Club. Welcome to round 5 of the Max5 Season 8 Championship. We are in the far east for the Tokyo Expressway east clockwise rotation. So the motorway has been blocked off for us to use, and we are going to have a cracking drive around the streets of Tokyo. So if you are new to us at Max5, this is how it looks. They have 8 rounds consisting of 2 races each round. They'll have a 10 minutes qualifying to determine the grid for the sprint race, which will be a 15-minute race, and then they will have a 30-minute feature race. The point system we are using is our national point system, and they have a drop score of 2 points. So, for qualifying and the sprint, the soft, intermediate or wet tyres are the only tyres available. But for the feature race, the hard tyres are the mandatory tyre, which means they have to use it at least once, unless wet weather is at play, in which they will also count towards the mandatory tyre. The championship is broken up into 3 classes. Red is pro, blue is pro amateur, and yellow is amateur. So, after 4 rounds, this is how the table is looking. Racer Brown, currently the pro and championship leader. He's on 128 points. Big Dan is in second. He's leading the pro amateurs, also on 128 points. Guesty is in third on 121 points. Homesick Alien is fourth with 92 points. Fifth is Mrs. Guesty, leading the amateurs. She's on 76 points. Pat is 6th with 75 points. Bazza in 7th with 64 points. 8th is Silver Star on 62. Sharon is 9th on 48. And Flashman is in 10th with 32 points. And the rest are yet to participate, but we've been told they have been having issues to this. Now, at this point, I would normally show you the graphics regarding how the qualifying positions ended up, but unfortunately, due to a technical complication that I suffered a few days ago, I have sadly lost that data. In fact, I've actually lost the data regarding all of the finishing positions for both qualifying and the races. So, just for qualifying, I'm going to come up with something a little bit creative, and then once the sprint race is done, we're just going to go straight into the feature race, and at the end of that, I will just present the table of how it all looks at the end of round 5. So Big Tan takes his first pole for Max5 with Racer Brown lining up in second. Homesick Alien is in third with Guesty in fourth. Bazza is in fifth. Rito's finally got his car working. He's in sixth with Silver Star in seventh and Mrs. Guesty in eighth. So, with the technical difficulties out of the way, let's just go straight into the sprint and feature race. So, here we go then for round 5 at the Tokyo Expressway. Off we go, and it looks like we've all managed to get away quite well as they now get into single file, because the toe here is going to be absolutely critical for your race result. And as we can see, they've all gotten away quite well. They're still in place at the moment, with Racer Brown pulling the trigger at the moment. Homesick Alien tucks in behind Racer Brown to give him a little bit of a push. So you can see that So he can see himself get past Big Dan. Big Dan has been left out high and dry as he is now dropped down into fourth, with Bazza and Rido and Silverstar hunting him down as well, with Mrs. Guesty at the back. But as we go round the first corner, it looks like we've all gotten away quite well and has managed to stick it all without hitting the barrier. So as we go down back the twisty section of the Tokyo Expressway, Racer Brown currently holds the lead with Guesty in second, Homesick Alien in third, Big Dan in fourth with Bazza in fifth. We've got Rido down in sixth, we finally managed to get him onto the grid now that he's got his car working. We're not sure what issues plagued him at the start of this. And that's Big Dan. He's collected Rido. And Mrs. Guesty's had it as well. And Silverstar as well. There's Calamity at the back. We're not sure what was the instigator of that, but these four have just dropped away from the pack in front of them, and they are now going to have to struggle with, well, they'll only have themselves to fight with, because the front four will have disappeared into the distance, so they will have to manage on their own. So it looks like fifth, unless there's an absolute calamity at the front, that fifth may be the best that they can get. Meanwhile, back up front, Guesty has taken the lead. We did say that the toe might be quite strong around here, but it's definitely going to play key here through the start-finish straight, because this is where it all comes into play. So Guesty is going to be the one that's going to be left high and dry, with the three behind him, Racer Brown, Homesick Alien and Big Dan, all taking advantage of that toe. As you can see, Homesick Alien is now catching up to the back of Racer Brown as we now go into lap 2. As we can see, nobody's quite pulling the trigger yet. They're not quite close, and that's Racer Brown actually giving Guesty a little bit of a bump. So they're wanting to get away from Big Dan, who has been dropped back a little bit, but he's probably still within the toe range, as we can see just in the background there. But Racer Brown has pulled the trigger on Guesty as we come up to the first tight right-hand corner. It's all going to be a question about the brakes. Who's the bravest? And it looks like it was Racer Brown. Homesick Alien, he had a bit of a squiggle on the back end going through the corner, but has managed to survive. But Big Dan takes advantage of it and goes into third place. So Homesick Alien drops down into fourth. Let's have a look back here. Bazza's managed to keep it in fourth. That was Silverstar. Somebody's had it's Rido. He's lost the back end again. Poor Rido. It's just going from bad to worse for him in this championship, as he has missed the majority of the championship so far because of a fault with his car, and is now just seeing his first race going from bad to worse. Mrs. Guesty promoted up to 7th, with Silverstar in 6th, trying to chase down Bazza. He's just slightly up the road, so if he's able to pile on a bit more pressure, he's hit the barrier. He's managed to keep it pointing in the right direction, but he's lost Bazza, and that's Mrs. Guesty coming on to take advantage of it and goes through to 6th place. Unfortunate there for Silverstar, but back at the front, as we can see, Homesick Alien is dropped down to 4th, with now Guesty in play, and that's Big Dan having a look on Guesty as we come up to the hairpin. And it's an interesting hairpin as well. There are many, many lines you can take through it, and each one is just as quick as the other, and Big Dan's gone too deep. He went far too deep and has now seen himself drop to 4th, with Racer Brown still winning. Homesick Alien second and Guesty's third. But the good thing is, Big Dan has got Guesty for a play for him, which means he'll be able to give him a bit of a bump to help him catch the two up in front. But so far at the moment, Homesick Alien is in no man's land, and I don't think he's in the toe range. But I'm sure that the two behind him, Guesty and Big Dan, will give him a helping hand, because they won't want Racer Brown to run away with it. Yes, there we go. As we can see, Guesty giving him a little bit of a bump to try and help him catch up Racer Brown, because if he disappears, it doesn't matter how much toe they get. they won't be able to catch them up. Let's have a look further back here as we can see. Bazza's all on his Billy Bob at the moment. He's got nobody to help him out, which means that he's going to be easy pickings for Mrs. Guesty and Silverstar. But the question is, are they going to work together? They are championship rivals in the amateurs. And the answer is no, because Silverstar pulls the trigger and goes up on the inside of Mrs. Guesty, and he does. But can he hold it going through the corner? It looks like he has. And boom, there we go. He's now up into 6th, but Mrs. Guesty's not quite letting him get away with it that easily. And that's going to be interesting to watch with Rido in 8th, trying to play catch up as best he can. He's hit the barrier. Oh no, he's spun. Oh, poor Rido. It's just not working out for him, is it? But meanwhile, at the front, Racer Brown is disappearing into the distance. They're all knocking the barriers a little bit. But Racer Brown is making it work so far, with Homesick Alien in 2nd, Guesty in 3rd, and Big Dan still in 4th. They still have that small group together. But the question is, who's going to be taking advantage of that huge slip on the very last lap? That is going to be the question. In fact, to be fair, this track in, the Tokyo Expressway, especially this format, it's more about the strategy game, because just because you're second doesn't mean that you are second, because if you're within tow range of somebody, it could all change. But as we can see, Guesty so far working well with Homesick Alien to help them catch up Racer Brown, who's got a bit of a gap at the moment. Racer Brown currently holding the fastest laps. Is he going to get another fast lap, I wonder? No, he does not. Nobody else seems to be doing it better. As you can see, a 2:17 from Homesick Alien, another 2:17 from Guesty as well. So those two are working together, but Big Dan is falling behind. He can't afford to fall behind, because if he loses track of those 3 in front, he's going to be left high and dry. In fact, I think he might actually be outside of the tow range, so Big Dan could be in trouble here. It's all going to be a question if these 3 can keep it pointing in the right direction. As we can see, that's Guesty, the back end snapping out, but he's managed to recover it so far. But they have caught up Racer Brown. Racer Brown under enormous pressure here from Homesick Alien and Guesty, his 2 fellow pro drivers, and the pair of them are going at Racer Brown limb from limb, looking to take advantage as best as they can. But let's not forget, the strategy is a key player here. So being first is not a safe guarantee. In fact, these guys are actually quite struggling with the grip. In fact, I can see that Guesty has heavily used his tyres, as well as Homesick Alien and Racer Brown. We're only just halfway into this race, and their tyres are punishing. What on earth is going on here? The tyres are absolutely getting cooked. What on earth is going on? As you can see, Big Dan is really struggling with it, but as we know, he's a bit of a driftmeister, so if the back end keeps kicking out, he's not going to have much issue with that either. But as you can see, his front left is really, in fact, the entire front left is completely burnt out, as well as Guesty, as well as Homesick Alien and Racer Brown. Mrs. Guesty isn't too bad. Even Silverstar's suffering this issue. He's normally one for being able to conserve his tyres. In fact, we're only down. Rido's gone. Oh no, Rido has gone. So it looks like the car issues have returned, and he's unfortunately had to drop out. Poor Rido, not the best start to his Max5 championship, but the woes continue, unfortunately. Bazza as well suffering. What on earth is going on? The tyres are getting completely cooked. Have we had a dud set of tyres being sent out? Because what on earth could be causing this high tyre deg? Considering Tokyo Expressway really isn't that punishing on the tyres, and yet these MX-5s have completely gone through them. We're not even at 10 minutes. You can see even the pros are struggling with it. That's Racer Brown. Racer Brown has spun and has lost the lead. Oh my. Oh, Oh, wow, what on earth is going on? Because Guesty's now taking the lead and Racer Brown is dropping back. And if he's outside, I think he is, he's outside of the toe, so he's going to have real issues here. But I think the real issue isn't the toe, it's going to be the tyres. Because the tyres are completely, well, can I say it, crud? They're absolutely crud. They've only been on it for 11 minutes, and that's OC Alien struggling with them as well. My word, what a very bizarre race. And Guesty as well, he's going to be... Oh, that was Racer... No, Homesick Alien in the background. I thought it was Racer Brown, but it wasn't. It's Homesick Alien. Homesick Alien really struggling with that car. And Racer Brown comes through as well. He's managed to recover, but his tyres, they're dead. Big Dan, we know he can chew through tyres, but not to this degree. As well as Guesty as well. So it looks like the two front runners who would normally go through a set of tyres quite quickly seem to be managing them quite well, even though they're completely cooked. What are they going to, by the end, they're not even going to be, can they explode? Can they explode on Gran Turismo, I wonder? I guess we're going to find out. You can see Racer Brown really struggling with no tyre grip whatsoever. Homesick Alien, you can see he's got front and rear damage because there is just nothing keeping him on the road except a sheet of ice. Mrs. Guesty as well. She's moved up into fourth. No, she's fifth. Bazza must have had an... Yes, he has, because he's got damage on his front right. That is how much of a struggle the cars are when there's no tyres on them. Oh, Silver Star's had issues as well, because he's all the way down. He's still within the twisty section. It's completely lost everybody around it. This could open up the entire race completely. It's going to be a question of who can control the car better on a sheet of ice. Never mind racing, we're going rallying. Rallying MX5's brought to you by Virtual Racers Club. My word, this is... What on earth has gone on with the tyres, I wonder? We're going to have to investigate this one at the end of it, because this is very bizarre. They've still got coming up to another 2 minutes to go, and the pair of them are just absolute. Oh, in fact, all of them, they're all struggling to keep it pointing in the right direction. We've got a yellow flag. It's Guesty. Guesty has lost the back end. Big Dan has taken the lead, and to be fair, it's right in his territory, because he likes a drifty car. We know he can control a drifty car quite well. So this is all in Dan's favour. Surely he'll be able to control the car to some degree. Well, you can see even he's struggling. He's hitting barriers, but they're all hitting the barriers, so it's not like we can criticise them for it, really, because they're all going to be struggling. There's nothing left on his tyres whatsoever. There's nothing left on Guesty's. There's only a tiny little bit left on Racer Brown's. But to be fair, that might as well be Blue Tech. Homesick Alien as well. He's in the exact same situation. Mrs. Guesty's got a tiny little bit left as well. Bazza's got a little bit left. Silver Star's, I think he's got the most out of everybody. Oh, Homesick Alien's gone again. That's Mrs. Guesty moving up into fourth. Well, this is definitely this has turned the race on its head. Oh, Mrs. Guesty's lost as well. My word, they're all driving on ice. They're all driving around extremely delicately, and nobody can blame them. As, yep, there goes Bazza as well. This is turning into a very, very, very poorly race with some very unusual circumstances. It appears that Big Dan and Guesty are the only ones that are able to keep it going. But as they come up to the first corner, you can see they're tiptoeing round. Even Guesty going out wide. Racer Well, Big Dan's managed to hold on. He's holding on for dear. In fact, they're all holding on for dear life. I don't know what I'm talking about. Racer Brown has managed to start another lap, so he'll have to suffer this punishment as well. But it looks like Mrs. Guesty is going to be the first across the line in fourth. My word, what a bizarre race. This is definitely one for the history books for us at Virtual Racers Club, without a doubt. Mrs. Guesty finishes in fourth. Bannister finishes in fifth. Silver Star is going to be next. The one guy that can really look after a set of tyres, even his is absolutely cooked. And I think there's going to have to be an investigation into this, because how do you explain a set of softs going this quickly in 15 minutes? My word. It'll be tough on them, but what a result for Mrs. Guesty. This Silver Star comes home in sixth. So far at the front though, Big Dan is still holding on. It's all in his game now. It's all in his element. In fact, he is in his element. With a very, very twitchy back end. It's just a question of, can he keep it in the pointing in the right direction? He's gone too deep, but Guesty can't put the power down with nothing there to help him put the power down. Big Dan has managed to survive in no doubtedly the most bizarre race we've ever had, and Big Dan is going to take his first win in Max 5. If it weren't for the unusual circumstances, I think he'd be jumping for joy, but I think he still might do anyway. Big Dan crosses the line to take first. Guesty comes home in second. Racer Brown coming home in third, and, well, what can you say? What an absolute weird one. Even I don't know how to sugarcoat this one, but I think there's going to be some very, very angry words to the tyre suppliers at this rate. Racer Brown finishes third. So here we go for the feature race. It is absolutely bucketing down outside. And off we go into the rain. And what is this going to conjure up? Because nobody can explain. We've asked them about it. In fact, Baz has pulled right off. We're not quite sure what's happened there. And into the rain we go. And these guys are going to be absolutely soaking wet through by the end of it. What's happened to Bazza, I wonder? He's not moving. Bazza's completely stopped still. So I'm not quite sure what's gone on there. Who knows? But so far, as we go through the first corner, Silver Star, who led us off, has managed to maintain the lead so far, with Mrs. Guesty behind him. And oh, there we go. I thought the wet would take no prisoners at some point, and as we can see, it took Silver Star and Mrs. Guesty at the same time. That leaves Racer Brown, Guesty, and Big Dan to go through. But the question is the extraordinary tyre wear from the sprint race going to affect them in the feature as well, especially with the rain? As you can see, they're really struggling to keep it pointing in the right direction and out of the wall as well. We saw Racer Brown there just hit the barrier. That gives Guesty and Big Dan the opportunity to go through. Homesick Alien in fourth. It looks like he's struggling in this wet weather, but I don't think anybody can blame him for that one. With pardon moi. Silver Star currently holding in fifth, with Mrs. Guesty in sixth. So it looks like after the small spin the pair of them had, Silver Star managed to get away quite well. Bazza has got moving now. We're not quite sure what happened there. We'll have to ask him at the end of it. Maybe it was another car issue. The car issues seem to be plaguing them at the current moment. Rido could probably give you some great words of Well, he's got Tyrus. Oh, Guesty's lost the back end. Oh, my word. Now let's Big Dan through. With Racer Brown in second, that promotes Homesick Alien as well to third. Guesty has finally got going. Is Silver Star going to catch him as well? He does. So Guesty has dropped down into fifth. And with the front bumper damage, it's going to affect his top speed as well. So he's not out of it, though, because he has got Silver Star. I don't know if he's going to use him as a tow. We're not 100% sure. Mrs. Guesty is completely dropped off. She is going to struggle back there. And Bazza all on his own as well. Unfortunately, it looks like this is going to be the best he can. He's just going to have to hope and pray that other people bottle it. But so far, at the moment, Big Dan, Racer Brown, and Homesick Alien disappearing into the distance. And Big Dan has really come alive here at round 5 in such a bizarre race we had in the sprint. And now we've got a soaking wet feature race that's really going to push these guys to the absolute limit. But so far, the tyres seem to be holding up quite well. So maybe it was just a dud set of softs so everybody got. We're not 100% sure, but the wets appear to be holding up for the time being. Racer Brown, that's the words I'm looking for. It's been a long day. Racer Brown currently holding well in second, with Homesick Alien in third in hot pursuit. So it looks like it could be these three duking it out for the spots on the podium, unless something like that happens. Homesick Alien loses the back end. It looks like Guesty might have lost the back end as well, because and Silver Star must have lost it as well, because those two are in a tight fought fight. But now he's managed to get through, so I'm not quite sure what happened there. But Silver Star maintaining fourth, but they're unable to catch Homesick Alien, who's now got front damage. But as you can see, the backpack is closing up on him. So Homesick Alien having a round to forget, but it's understandable. And that's, Silver Star's lost it in the background. Poor Silver Star. And wow, this round is absolutely taking no prisoners. It looks like Big Dan is the only one that's been able to hold on to it. He's gone a bit deep, but with this wet weather, it's understandable. As you can see, he's kicking out the back end. This is what he loves doing. He loves a pointy back end because he can really, really hammer it home. And as you can see, he's really pulling away from Racer Brown. Big Dan, so far, the only one taking full advantage of it. He's not, I don't think he's even had even the smallest glimmer of difficulty so far in this bizarre round. Everyone else has definitely come a cropper from it, and you have to feel for them going through this sort of pain. This is, Guesty is in fourth, Mrs. Guesty is in fifth. This has been a great round for her if she's able to keep it up. Bazza's now promoted up into sixth from all the calamity that's happened at the back. Silver Star has dropped to seventh, but it has definitely been a difficult round for everybody. So quite frankly, being able to come home in one piece is definitely going to be a win in my books. But so far, Big Dan is running away with it. He got the sprint race win. Can he get the feature race win? That would help his championship out no end. He is leading the pro amateurs, and he's not far away from the championship leader, Racer Brown, who is in second. And he finished third, with Big Dan taking the win and Racer Brown. Oh no, the back end has given up the ghost, and here comes Homesick Alien and Guesty. Are they going to be able to overtake Racer Brown before he recovers? It looks like he has recovered and he's on his way. But my word, Tokyo is really, really giving them such difficulty. He's gone again. Oh no. Oh my word, what an absolute bizarre race. It could go to anybody. I mean, with the way things were going, who would have thought that Big Dan would be leading and Homesick Alien in second? Racer Brown's gone again. My word, it's really taking no prisoners here today. And how many times I'm going to keep saying that, I wonder. But it has been absolutely monstrous out there. The first race, the tyres completely dissipating on them. And now in the feature race, it's completely pouring down. And these two working together, it looks like they're going to be working for... They're going to have to fight for second place because Big Dan is checking out. The only one that's able to keep it pointing in the right direction so far, and he's taking full advantage of it. Homesick Alien is really struggling in second place. Guesty's struggling in third place. They're all completely struggling. Big Dan's the only one that doesn't seem to be struggling. So I'd say he's the top favourite to win this round. Bazza now up into fifth. Oh, he lost the back end a little bit, but recovered it just in time before he hit the barrier. Mrs. Guesty must have dropped because she was in fifth, so she must have lost it at some point. And Silver Star, he's not that far away from Mrs. Guesty. If he keeps it pointing in the right direction, avoids any mistakes, although I think given the way this race has gone so far and the way... What on earth is that? Come on, cameraman. I know things have been going wrong, but there's no need for you to go wrong. But with everything else going wrong, it could go to anybody. This is basically the Pandora's box of racing. Who on earth is going to end up in what position? I think it's a safe bet to say that Big Dan's going to win it. Only an absolute calamity is probably going to stop him from winning this race. He's got the fastest lap as well. So it's all Big Dan's to lose. But for everybody else, it could be anybody's at the end of the day. It's just a question of who's going to hang on the longest. And best you can see, Guesty is just trying as hard as he can to get away from Homesick Alien. But the car just does not want to behave. The wet weather is really, really hounding them. And he's even catching the pros by surprise. My word, what... This is definitely turning out to be... never mind the race, the bizarre race from the sprint. We've got a bizarre round. My word, I tell you what, the rain really is an equaliser here because... there's no telling what's going to happen. I'm near enough lost for words. I genuinely don't know. But so far, the only ones that are together so far are Guesty and Homesick Alien. In fact, Guesty's managed to get ahead of Homesick Alien. No, it was like that before, wasn't it? Yeah, it was Guesty trying to get away from Homesick Alien. See, that's how bizarre this race has been. Mind you, me trying to remember stuff, that's quite that's not exactly strange, is it? It's broken as it is. Too many bangs to the head. But wow, what a bizarre round we are having. In fact, probably the only normality is inside the tunnel. Because even though they've all spread themselves out, there's going to be no movement between them. It looks like it's just going to be a podium fight between these two, with Guesty and Homesick Alien. With Guesty so far really pushing his car to the absolute limit, but in this wet weather he doesn't want to be pushing it too hard because otherwise the back end will just kick out. And from the way things are going, unless your name's Big Dan, you're going to struggle. Because so far everybody else has, except this man. What can you say? He's showing them all how to do it. This is how you do it, boys. Look at that. He's just completely drifting around these corners. He's absolutely loving it. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Big Dan in his element. Look at that. That is just incredible. He's just going faster and faster. Even though I can't remember what the fastest lap was in the sprint race, but he's just completely taking advantage of the tricky conditions, just making it work to his advantage, and has run away with it. Guesty's now starting to pull away from Racer Brown, and we've still got a good 15 minutes left of this. So pit stops are going to play a role in this, because they don't appear to be chewing their tyres as badly as they did in the first race, so my guess is they've probably brought their best wet weather tyres out, saying, oh yeah, sorry lads, we don't know what happened with these softs, but we made these absolutely indestructible wet weather tyres completely go nuts. So it looks like fuel is going to be the only element at play here. So it looks like it's going to be going down to fuel usage. As we can see, Homesick Alien, he's actually got about, in fact, let's have a look at everybody. So Big Dan's used over half, Guesty's used over half, Homesick Alien is over a half, so my guess is he is fuel saving. I was going to wonder if Racer Brown was, but he is coming into the pit, so my guess is that's just to top up with fuel. I can't imagine him. Yep, there we go. He's just it's just a fuel stop. I didn't think they were going to change tyres. Mrs. Guesty, she's under a half. As you can see, Racer Brown has filled up, and I think he's going to get out before Mrs. Guesty goes through. Yes, he does. So she's definitely going to have to stop. Silver Star is definitely going to stop. I think he's used the same as the front runners, so that is definitely going to be a pit stop. So realistically, it's only Homesick Alien who could be going for a no stopper, because we're a minute away from the halfway point, and so far he's used only half. Guesty and Big Dan, in fact I think Guesty's actually used the most out of everybody, but to be fair, he is pushing as hard as he can, but he's really struggling with that Mazda to keep it pointing in the right direction. Big Dan, on the other hand, is just disappearing into the distance, and he's only got about a third left, so he's definitely going to be pitting as well. So the only one that might be a question mark is Homesick Alien, but we can see he's got damage to the complete front end, so that's not going to be helping him out with his fuel saving. So my guess is that he is indeed going to stop, unless he's going to absolutely brave it, turn the wick down so it doesn't use as much fuel. That could be one strategy he could use, but we will have to wait and see. But he has got a sizable gap between himself and Guesty, so it's all playing to Homesick Alien's part so far because of the difference in fuel. Now, is Guesty going to pit this lap? No, he doesn't. He carries on. I suspect that Homesick Alien is going to carry on, but to be fair, he could also come in for a splash and dash. That will give him more fuel to burn so he can go on the attack. Because he'll have less to put in, that could decrease the gap between himself and Guesty. Baz has moved up to fourth. We haven't seen much of him this race, have we? He's doing well in fourth. He's definitely going to be pitting as well. We saw Racer Brown did pit. He's topped right up, so he's on full attack mode, so he's going straight for the others. And because he's pitted early, it could mean that he could have the advantage come at the end of it. Mrs. Guesty in sixth, and she's definitely going to be pitting as well. The question is when. Silver Star's only got a quarter left, so he's been really burning that fuel and trying his best to try and catch up the guys in front of him and girls, but I suspect he's going to have some difficulty in that. Meanwhile, at the front, Big Dan down to a quarter of a tank. He has got a very sizable gap between himself and second place Guesty. In fact, Baz has got the fastest lap. My word, Baz has got the fastest lap. That's how bizarre this round is going. My word, and as soon as I say that, he's lost the back end. Poor Bazza. I've really got to stop saying things like that, haven't I? Stop praising people, because as soon as I praise them, they end up in the barrier and losing the back end, one or another. But so far, Big Dan has got a commanding lead. In fact, that was Guesty on the left-hand side. That's how big the gap is. So at any point, Big Dan could come in, top that fuel up, and off he goes. The question is when. I think Guesty is going to be, he's going to be coming in either this lap or the next. And then we will see how well Racer Brown's strategy went in regarding the early pit stop. Jose Alien, he is the question mark because he's trying to do a no stopper. The question is, has he done enough to save the fuel? I suspect he's turned the wick down because he's not accelerating as hard as Silver Star was going across the start finish line. That was a 134, and his return to Bazza, he's at 140. So I think Homesick Alien has turned the power down a little bit just to save that little bit more fuel. Hopefully avoid having to do a pit stop because that would be a sizable chunk, although they're not changing the tyres because the wet seems to be holding up quite well, so tyre change is not going to be an issue here. It's going to be all about the fuel. But even with a fuel stop, you're still stationary for a great couple of seconds. The question is, has Big Dan done enough to keep himself in that lead? Silver Star has pitted, so he is going to be the next question mark for the guys in front of him. We'll see how quickly the fuel goes in. It does actually go in quite quickly, doesn't it? So, oh, he's only gone half, so he's not going all the way, but that's completely understandable. Quick splash and dash, that's all you need. And it does go in quite quickly, so I'm going to hazard a bet that Big Dan has got a big enough lead for him to refuel and maintain the lead. We will have to wait and see when he comes in. Look at that, he just drifts round that double right-hander easy as you can. Well, he's just absolutely loving it out there. I'm not going to lie, it's absolutely splendid to watch. Watching that Max5 drift round in the hands of a pro. And there we go now, Big Dan pulling the trigger for the pit stop. He's got 9% left. We can see it is flashing, but he's only going to need... that's a good question. I didn't exactly count it out. Let's see what Big Dan fills it up. Guesty, come on, Mr. Cameraman. I know he's struggling. No, Guesty comes into the pits. So, Big Dan has filled up halfway. Where is Homesick Alien? He's too far back. So, even after the rounds of pit stops, Homesick Alien is not going to be able to take advantage of Big Dan, but can he of Guesty? The fuel is going in. That was rather slow. I don't know if he was just slow getting to his box or he changed tyres. I don't know. But, oh no, Homesick Alien is pitting, so he didn't have enough. Bazza is pitting as well, but his fuel is flashing. So where is Racer Brown in all of this? He's just coming up into the tunnel. Homesick Alien's been released. He's out. Oh, for goodness sakes, Mr. Cameraman, I know things are going bad, but try keep up. And there we go, Racer Brown just crossing the line. So the early pit stop hasn't paid off well for Racer Brown, but Homesick Alien is going to have to turn that wick up because he's got enough fuel to get him all the way now. So saving the fuel has managed to save him a couple of seconds, but he's got to put the power down now because there's Racer Brown right behind him. In fact, Racer Brown's going for the fastest lap, which Bazza still has. Where's Bazza in this? He's in 5th. Mrs. Guesty in 6th. She's going to have to pit at some point as well. Silver Star we saw pitting. He topped up with just over a half, and he's now under the halfway mark. So they are still using a fair amount of fuel. But what can you say? What a bizarre round 5 we have had. It's definitely going to go down in the history books without a doubt. Big Dan absolutely loving this. He's loving how this round has turned out. The burning of the tyres, the wet weather, it's just all played into his hands. And he has taken full advantage of it. And how much is this going to affect Racer Brown's lead on the championship, I wonder? We will have to wait and see. Guesty, meanwhile, still holding well in at second. There's Big Dan on the other side of the barriers, long gone. Even after the pit stops. So I think second is going to be the best that Guesty can walk away with, barring any incidents up front. But to be fair, the way Big Dan has been driving, I sincerely doubt that is going to happen. Homesick Alien still managing in third. I wondered if strategy was going to play a part in this with the fuel saving, but it looks like it has worked out a little bit in his favour, because that is Racer Brown behind him. I don't think he's in the tow range. So, I'm going to have to have a drink. Ah, there we go. He's not pulling in again, is he? No, I didn't think he was. I was going to say that would be a rather bizarre move, but the way this round has been going, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Racer Brown in fourth. He's seen his championship lead come out of his fingertips from the way this round has gone. There we go. Mrs. Guesty has pulled in. Wow, she really took that to the absolute limit, and fair play to her. She managed 24 minutes on one tank of fuel, so she's not going to need that much either to get her to the end. There we go. A third of a tank, and Silver Star hasn't even entered the tunnel yet, but the way the round has been going, it can be quite understandable why everybody is completely struggling. So everybody's just spread themselves out now. The difficulty of the conditions and the bizarre events from the sprint race. I think everybody's just looking forward to seeing the back end of this one. Although personally, I think Big Dan will be saying, "Can we have more like this, please? That was really good. I enjoyed that." Oh, Homesick Alien touching the barrier there. That's still struggling out there in the wet conditions. You've got a feel for these guys, really. I mean, the way this round has been gone, these guys are going to be coming in soaking wet. I do not envy them for this. Oh, Racer Brown! Oh dear, is Bazza going to get through? I think Bazza's going to get through. He does. So Bazza takes fourth. Is he embracing his inner Big Dan, I wonder? Speaking of which, Big Dan's just got the fastest lap with a 27.6. What was Bazza's? It was a 29? No, 28. 28.0 was his fastest lap, and Big Dan has just smashed that by 4/10. In fact, Bazza's got his traction control on, to be fair. I don't blame him. Homesick Alien's got his traction control, and Guesty. Big Dan hasn't. Bazza has. Racer Brown hasn't. Mrs. Guesty has, and Silver Star. So Big Dan and Racer Brown, the only one without the traction control on, and, well, to be honest, I don't blame the guys that have, really. The conditions look absolutely dreadful. By the end of the sprint, they were racing on ice, and Big Dan's still going faster. The wet weather's definitely not slowing him down in the slightest. He can just take that thing to the absolute limit. He scraped the barrier there a little bit, but not a great deal to upset him. But everyone's wondering if he can have some drifting lessons from him. Guess he's all on his own in second. Homesick Alien, he's all on his own in third. He's managed to pull away from... Oh, wait, no. No, Racer Brown had that spin, didn't he? We did see it, because Bazza took advantage of it. Sorry, my brain got confused then. It was like, hang on a second, was Bazza in fourth the whole time? No, because Homesick Alien came out of him by the end of the pit stops. So how has Racer Brown's car changed colour? But it's not, it's Baz's. So, yeah, that was a bit of a brain fart moment there, if I've ever had one. So... oh, Racer Brown's lost it again, so... maybe turn on your traction control, RB. That might help you out a little bit. Everybody else seems to have turned it on. To be fair, I think if Big Dan turned the traction control on, he might actually be slower. Who knows? Let's have a look back here. We've got Mrs. Guesty, that's what Mrs. Guesty and Silver Star. The currently only 2 amateurs on track at the moment. Pat absent. And I bet he's probably glad he's missed this one at the rate it's been going. But it does mean that he is now wide open in the championship. And if I'm honest, I can't remember who's leading the amateurs at the moment. I think it might be Pat. Or is it Mrs. Guesty? It's one of those two, I know that. But this is going to be helping out their championship no end with the absentees. Just have to hope and pray that they can make up the gap. But the round has been all about this man, Big Dan. It's played into his hands. He has taken full advantage of it, and he's making it work. I think it was Racer Brown that got the fastest lap in the previous race, but Big Dan did get pole. He got the win, and now he's getting another win and the fastest lap, so he's pretty much coming out this with nearly maximum points. Guess he's still maintaining second. There's a big gap between himself and Big Dan, but there's a big gap behind him with third place Homesick Alien, who, well, let's be fair, really, it's been a really, really difficult round for everybody that took part, and I feel that they're going to be really, really glad to be out of the way of this one. Though I suspect that Big Dan is probably going to ask them, can we have some more races in the wet, please? But the checker flag has dropped. There goes the half an hour. Good Lord. Actually went quicker than I thought it would. So, well, without doubt, the most bizarre round we've ever had. And Big Dan's the one to take advantage of it all. He takes the win and the fastest lap. Well done, Big Dan. Guess he's going to be next to cross the line in second place. To be fair, I'm sure he'll be happy with this one, because I think any result would be great for them at the end of the day. We've seen casualties drop left, right and centre. It was taking no prisoners whatsoever. But Guesty comes home in a grand second. Homesick Alien, the struggles and the difficulties, and he still managed it to pay it off. And he comes home with a podium. Third place, Homesick Alien. Baz has managed to survive it all just as well. He had the fastest lap for quite a while, but it's going to be a 4th place for the Belgian Bullet. Racer Brown as well. I wonder what dent this is going to make in his championship winning prospect at the moment, because, oh, easy, you don't want to lose it now, not while you're near the end. There we go, he's well recovered, but the difficult round has seen Racer Brown potentially drop to second in the championship. We will have to wait and see. But he could still held his head up high from this. It's 5th place for Racer Brown. Silver Star's managed to get himself up into 6th, so I wonder if Mrs. Guesty has had some form of incident, because it was the other way around before. So easy as you do it, Silver Star, you don't want to lose it now. It looks like he's got it. Oh, Mrs. Guesty's just dropped it at the back. but I don't think it's going to matter now anyway, because he's about to enter the tunnel and cross the line. I hope there's going to be enough fuel left. He's only got a little drop left. Yeah, it looks like it's enough. Silver Star finishes in 6th, and Mrs. Guesty finishes 7th. So, after all that, Big Dan takes the lead of the championship with 171 points. Racer Brown drops down into 2nd. He's still leading the pros. He's on 155. Guesty is in 3rd, also on 155 points. 4th is Homesick Alien on 116 points. Mrs. Guesty leading the amateurs. She's on 98 points. She's in 5th. 6th is Bazza on 88 points. Pat has dropped down to 7th on 75 points. Silver Star is in 8th on 82 points. Sharen is still on 48 points. Flashman is still on 32 points in 10th. Rido is in 11th with 8 points. It's just that the table obviously is incorrect, with Harvey, Jokus and Electric all still to take part. And that is round 5 for you. I can only apologize for the normal service that it presumes with these videos, but unfortunately with all the data that we have lost, this was probably the quickest way to really sort this out. But I do hope you still enjoyed that race and that round. It was a rather bizarre one, let's not forget that. But if you did enjoy this race, then please like and also subscribe to us here at the Virtual Racers Club so that you never miss any races from us. And with that, I think we shall leave it there. So, I was your broadcaster and commentator, insert comical name here, and we will see you for round 6.